Is a cloud of gas and dust in space that is associated with star formation. Three types are dark, emission, and reflection. Sometimes you may hear of a word that has nebula in it, or a vocabulary word that has nebula in it, such as planetary nebula. These are not true nebula. Nebula are only associated with star formation, and there are only three types: dark, emission, and reflection. The nebula are gas and dust in space. So let's go take a look at this. We're looking at the Orion Nebula in both images, and you can see this Horsehead Nebula here, and that one is a dark nebula. That one is filled with so much dust that you can't see any starlight coming from behind it. But you can see it based on the red colors or pink colors around it, and that is coming from an emission nebula. So I'm going to label that in E. D for dark, E for emission. We see the dark nebula based on the emission nebula behind it. Remember, no light passed through the dark nebula. The emission nebula is emitting pink or red light, and that is from hydrogen of the Balmer series. We have this newly formed star that's emitting UV light. This cloud here of gas is going to absorb that UV light and re-emit it in the hydrogen Balmer series. You get the reds, the blues, and the purples, and they blend together to make this reddish pinkish color. And this is called an emission nebula. Let's look at a reflection nebula. Reflection nebula tend to be the color blue. They don't emit any light. You see lots of dust in this nebula. And in this case, we have this starlight that's bouncing off this dust, and the dust scatters blue light preferentially towards your telescope or towards your eyes, and you tend to see these reflection nebula as blue. You tend to see emission nebula as pink, and you don't see any light coming from this dark nebula because it absorbs the light coming from behind it. This region here is not a dark nebula. It's just a hole in the cloud. So these are our Orion Nebula.